Lick number 111. What I'm going to show today is the 5-1-2. It's what I call the 5-1-2 sliding form of the A minor pentatonic. And what it actually does is now that I've gone through the 5 different minor pentatonic scales, what this one does is it basically combines form 5, form 1, and form 2. So if you just think of it as the 5-1-2 form, you basically get through the whole thing in terms of what positions it covers and what forms it covers, I mean. Let's take a look at it. So it's going to start in the 3rd position, and I'll play it first and I'll explain how to do it. Go through it just a little bit faster. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. Okay, so the way we play this is we're starting in the 3rd position, and we're going to start with a down pick at the 3rd fret with the 1st finger. Then we're going to play an up pick, that's the 6th string, then an up pick on the 5th fret of the 6th string with the 3rd finger, then on to the 5th string, and we're going to do the same basic pattern there. In other words, a 3rd fret and 5th fret with the 1st and 3rd finger on the 5th string, also with a down and up pick. So the first 4 notes are. Now on the next note, what we're going to do is a slide. So we're going to play the 5th fret of the 5th string again with the 3rd finger with a down pick. And we're going to slide up to the 7th fret, so we get this. So that brings us into our 5th position, and the first 4 notes were from form 5 of the minor pentatonics. Now we're in position for form 1 of the minor pentatonics. We're in A minor in this case. So we had this so far. So we're on the 7th fret with the 3rd finger. We're sliding from the 5th fret to the 7th fret with the 3rd finger on the 5th string. Now we're going to move on to the 4th string. Let's see. And the 4th string will be an up pick on the 5th fret with the 1st finger. Then the 3rd finger at the 7th fret with a down pick on the 4th string. Then an up pick on the 3rd string, 5th fret. Now here's where I differ from a lot of teaching books that I've read. I've always preferred at the next note on the 7th fret to shift to my 3rd finger at that. I'm sorry, to shift to my 2nd finger at that point. A lot of times I see it written with the 3rd finger, and then they slide into the next position. Then you got to kind of squash the fingers together to get to the next group of notes. I like at that point, after I've played the 5th fret with the 1st finger on the 3rd string, then going to the 7th fret, I like to use the 2nd finger, and then I'm going to hit that note again and slide that finger up to the 7th fret. Let me double check picking arrangement at that point. So from the bottom of the scale, the beginning of the scale, we have down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So we're doing an up at the 5th fret of the 5th string. I'm sorry, 5th fret of the 3rd string with the 1st finger, and then down pick on the 7th fret of the 3rd string with the 2nd finger. Then another hit of that note at the 7th fret with an up pick, and we're going to slide it at that point to the 9th fret. Then we're in position, in the 8th position, and we're all set to go here. So then we're going to do a down pick on the 8th fret of the 2nd string with the 1st finger, then an up pick on the 10th fret of the 2nd string with the 3rd finger, then a down pick on the 8th fret of the 1st string with the 1st finger, then an up pick on the 10th fret of the 1st string with the 3rd finger. We're going to repeat that note, and we're going to do the 3rd finger and the 1st finger with a down and an up to start heading down. We're going to descend now with the pattern. I'm going to go through all the fingerings here too, because there is something that that's different on the way up and on the way down. Basically, when you ascend the scale, you're going to use the higher finger number to slide, and when you descend the scale, we're going to use the lower finger number to slide. So we're going to be sliding down with the 1st finger, whereas we've slid up with the 3rd finger each, well, 3rd finger and 2nd finger. When we ascend the pattern, to descend, we're going to slide down with the 1st finger. So we had a down pick. I'm going to go through that again. A down pick on the 1st string at the 10th fret, the 3rd finger, then 1st finger at the 8th fret of the 1st string, then those same 2 frets with the same fingers on the 2nd string. So a down pick on the 10th fret and an up pick on the 8th fret of the 2nd string with the 3rd and 1st fingers. Then we're going to use a down pick on the 9th fret of the 3rd string, then an up pick on the 7th fret of the 3rd string with the 1st finger. Then we're going to hit that note again with a down pick and slide down to the 5th fret of the 3rd string. Then we're going to use an up pick on the 7th fret of the 4th string with the 3rd finger, then a down pick on the 5th fret of the 4th string with the 1st finger, then an up pick on the 7th fret of the 5th string with the 3rd finger, then a down pick on the 5th fret of the 5th string with the 1st finger. Then here's where we're going to slide again with the 1st finger. We're going to hit that 5th fret again with an up pick and slide down to the 3rd fret of the 5th string, and then we're going to finish up the scale with a down pick on the 5th fret of the 6th string, and then an up pick on the 3rd fret of the 5th string. That was with the 3rd finger and 1st finger. So altogether, and a lot of times I'll hit for the last note, I'll just hit that the tone center, which is the A at the 5th fret again when I complete the scale. So altogether we have this. Go for a little bit more of a close-up of my left hand and show that again. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Little vibrato on the last note. So one more time for so you can see left hand and right hand for the picking. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and up, down, 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 up, down. I'm going to put on a jam track called that I have on my website called the Laid Back Blues in A. It's on my website, bobporri.com, on the Jam Tracks page, and you can play through this scale. Now, what I started to mention at the outset of this lick, that I don't know if I really got around to it or not, is a lot of times I'm showing a scale, and you can play a whole scale, the whole range of a scale, either ascending or descending or both as a lick. So a lot of these licks that I've shown, I've tried to incorporate some improvisation to give some ideas of licks throughout the whole, through each lick / lesson I'm giving here. But sometimes I'm just showing basically a scale for the lick. And again, you can use scales. I mean, licks come out of scales. You can play the whole range of a scale and call it a lick. So just wanted to explain that sometimes I am showing a whole scale. and trying to give some ideas of what you can do for licks with these. And we're going to cover more about this where we can, where I'll get into where we can talk about rhythmic patterns that we can use to do partial notes of a scale, pick a few strings and develop a rhythmic pattern. But again, a scale can be called a lick also. So that's how I'm going to be using that during this track here. So again, this is Laid Back Blues in A. It's on my Jam Tracks page at bobporri.com. I want to start at the beginning here. Let me try again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it will sound like we basically just continue the scale, where shorter licks will sound more like you're talking, like you're saying a phrase. Like if I did something like this, instead of going up the whole scale with something like this, kind of gets long-winded. But again, that's how I'm just showing the scale here. But we can do licks with this by picking a few strings and doing something like this. So you could think of that as the beginning of a phrase, and then I might counter that or answer that with a higher version of something similar and go. So if I put on the jam track and did that, you'd hear this. 1, 2, 3, 4. I varied it a little bit, but here's the whole scale. I might pause up there, and then come down the scale. Now again, I don't have to go through the whole scale. If I'm at the top, I might just stay at the top for a little bit. Something like this. You might repeat the same thing. I ended it there. Down the whole scale. Little pauses in the midpoint of the scale. The rest of the way. Pause at the top. Come down. Pause in the middle. So even just pausing in the middle breaks it up, and it sounds a little bit more like you're doing licks rather than just the entire scale. So here's a little bit of improvisation. Closing on the left hand a little bit here. I'm in form 1 right now. Here I'm going to slide up into form 2. Bending, vibrato, bends, into form 1, and down into form 5. To form 1, into form 2, form 1, back down into form 5, form 1, bending this note, 7th fret of the 3rd string a lot. It's a good note to bend, up a whole step. So you're bending up a whole step. Here's playing through the whole scale again, up and ascending and descending. I did pause at the top that time. Here's a view for both hands. And a 4 and I'm going to play it twice as fast. So hopefully I've given you some ideas of how to use the sliding form 512. Again, it goes from starts in form 5, goes into form 1, and then into form 2. Fingerings are not always as they are in the block forms. For instance, let me show this one thing here. When you get up to form 2, for instance, form 2 of the pentatonic, of the A minor pentatonic, would be this. You'd be on the 3rd finger on the 3rd string there at the 9th fret, and then you'd use 2nd finger, 4th finger, 2nd finger, 4th finger. Well, those are not really strong fingers, this 3, 2, 4, 2, 4 idea there. And a lot of times you want to bend that top note. Now that's, it takes a good deal of effort to bend that 4th finger there. I would much prefer to have my 3rd finger on that one, as is usually the case with most players. And then we back up the bend. I'm at the 10th fret with the 3rd finger. And then we'll back up the bend with the 2nd and 1st finger there. So all I'm saying is that when I show the fingerings, when I did show the fingerings in the basic forms 1 through 5, it isn't a hard and fast rule or anything that you have to use those fingers, and in fact we often do use other fingers. So just keep that in mind, that we can use different fingerings for different purposes, like if you're going to bend a lot or use other techniques. But the basic block form fingers that I showed with the basic scales are used also. And when I did that, in fact, when I used the jam track, the rise and fall, I tried to stay pretty much on the fingerings as I was showing them. So they can be used. It's just a matter of sometimes you want to change your fingering up and to bring in some other techniques, some bending or whatever. So that's it for lick number 111.